So this type of accommodations is one of the fastest, and we use like 2 or 3 hours of rest or as a temporary observation point. So we can rest a couple of hours. It's low effort to make. The spruce will hide us and we can observe any direction. So other guy could watch that direction, another guy could watch that direction almost immediately, even from our sleeping bags. Our next accommodation of the choice is tarp canvas. This accommodation we will use like 2 or 3 days patrol base. This is more comfortable than under the tree. We could use a little campfire on the high end of the tarp canvas, and it would glow warm air under the tarp. Also a nice thing in this place is we have big boulders here. If enemy catches without our pants, we have fighting positions which provides cover from the assault gun fire. This is also highly combat ready, but it's more comfortable than last accommodation. This is the view from the open side of the canvas. We are like 30 meters away, and as you can see, its upper line of the canvas is still somehow visible, but if we go a little bit that way, we wouldn't see the whole patrol base anymore. And now we are same 20-30 meters from our patrol camp, but from the side of the camp. And from this angle you will see a little bit of the canvas, but those boulders will block almost all vision. Those boulders work against the thermal also. And this view is from behind our canvas. And as you can see, there's already some snow over the canvas, and it makes that canvas blend to the surroundings. Sometimes you see people sleeping in the snow caves, but we don't use that so much. It's not so energy efficient. We would use 3-4 hours to make the snow cave. Okay, it's warm because the insulation of the snow, but it would take so much of time, and there's also risks at sleeping in pile of snow.
Okay, let's talk about how to make a fire. First we need tools. We have a knife, then we have an axe, and then we need something to ignite the fire with. Alright, about firewood. There is dead pine, and it is completely hard. When it's hard, you know it's not rotten, and in the inside there is dry material like that. See? That is the best tinder you can find on earth. So let's just split a little bit of material here. Then we have tinder for our fire. Never use living tree because that one is too moist. Then we need different size of wood. We need some tinder. Then we need kindling, like smaller pieces of wood. Then we need large pieces of wood. I have chosen this place for my fire making because this rock here reflects the heat. Then we will have more warmth of a smaller fire, so it's more economical. Also, wind direction is about from there, so this rock will cover campfire towards wind. Using a knife to make a tinder is to have a good sturdy knife. Then you just make some sturdy platform here, have a good piece of wood and some kind of a hammer, like this. Then you can chop the wood with your knife, like so. Next we need to build a base for the fire. So we need to remove the snow and make some sort of a relatively dry platform for our fire. Platform can be made of lower quality wood, which is like rotten. It just needs to be dry, and it isolates the moisture and coldness from the ground. So it's easier to ignite the fire on top of this. Always remember remove enough snow from here, because fire needs air to burn. And if there is much snow around it, fire has no space and air to burn. Since we have our platform ready, we can use this as a working table. This is a great place to make our smaller firewood and tinder material. Make a feathering like this. Small little pocket knife comes in handy when using or making feathering. So we need approximately 2 handfuls of feathering and tinder like this. Then we need like minimum this much of a smaller firewood. Amount of your firewood depends on what you're doing. If you desire to sleep at the campfire, you need a ton of wood. This amount right here is enough to, let's say, cook meal, have dry socks, something like that, for a small break, let's say. First I'm gonna take my tinders on top of my platform, then try to make like bird's nest in here, like there is hole in between and then there is good feathering around. I am using the Finnish Peltonen Ranger knife. This is really sharp, as you can see. Handle is easy to grip on, this is full tang all the way here, and this is sturdy enough for all kinds of tasks what you can do. This is important thing to have with you. Birch bark as a tinder material. This is already dry and it can be packed like this. Always have this with you, it can save your life. We take bark and place it into the bird's nest, like so. Make a fire with ferroesin rod. So grab a knife and scratch bark with this. Take your ferro rod and scratch. And just make sure that fire doesn't die right away. Feed it with just little sticks. Now when the fire is burning, you need to feed the fire first with to prevent the fire from dying. Since it is burning correctly, you can add larger wood. When those are burning correctly, even up to logs, something like this or bigger. This size of fire can't be seen so easily with a bare eye, but always be aware of thermal cameras and such when making a fire in the battlefield. Another way to light a fire is using gunpowder with a tinder material. It comes in handy when the tinder material is wet, like in this kind of conditions. Just take a bullet out of your cartridge and pour gunpowder onto tinder material and light with your ferro rod. So there we have it, guys, a couple of ways to make a fire. Usually this can be made in 10 minutes or so, and always remember to put down your fire after your break to prevent leaving any smoke or heat behind you.
For water, you want to have some kind of container. Even though I do have a camel pack here, it's not the best option. With the camel pack in freezing temperatures, the tube usually freezes, the mouthpiece freezes. So every time you suck on the tube, you have to remember to blow the water back into the bag. Otherwise, it's just going to be dead weight and you're going to start hating yourself after a while. Other options are soft bottles that you carry inside of the layer or your clothing layer, and your body heat will keep them liquid. An old method that was taught already in the 80s, 90s was the normal canteen that the army issues. Just putting a woolen sock around it, it isolates it pretty well. You can also add different substances, like for example salts, electrolytes. That will also help with keeping the water liquid. Thermos bottles are very nice. They keep the water either warm in cold temperatures or cold in hot temperatures. Nutrition. Avoid fast sugars. Avoid fast digesting sugars. It elevates your blood sugar, but you will get a crash and you're gonna feel really bad or like shit. So what should you pack? What kind of food should you pack with you? Something that is high, dense with calories. something that is light. There's usually two categories that we prefer. Something that you make or heat up and cook while you're stationary, and something that you eat on the go. On the go, dried berries, nuts, dry bread, 𝗙𝗙𝗪𝗙, for example, what we use. Majority of the commercial bars do have some sugars, but check that they are as low as possible. Nuts. Nuts are very good also as a fast snack on the go. For example, walnuts is a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are actually crucial for your health when moving in these kind of environments. Eating frequency. You should always eat something, especially in high activity and in these kind of conditions, 15 to 30 minute intervals. In practice, every time you stop for a breather, open up a pocket, take a handful of a snack, take one bar or half of it, don't eat too much, just so your calorie intake is constant and controlled. Hot meals. Now, if you have a longer break, let's say 30, 45 minutes, and you have a chance to cook water or dig out your thermos bottle. These kind of hot meals, if they're high in calories, 2 to 3 in a 24-hour period should be enough. But note that especially if you're calling it a night, if you're setting up camp and you're climbing into your sleeping bag, it's crucial that you have a hot meal and drink before you go into the sleeping bag. It will heat up your core temperature, and your core temperature, your body heat, will warm up the sleeping bag. And if you're doing it without some kind of external heat source, like a tent, this is crucial. Stoves. Now, there are different kinds of stoves you can use to heat up your water. Different stoves, they have different capacity and different uses. A very common one is Jetboil. It has a very good capacity and it is easy to cook, to boil a liter of water in minutes. And all the needed parts are self-contained in the cooker. The downsides for the Jetboil is that it's relatively bulky. If you're trying to go extremely lightweight and slick, then this might not be the best choice. But if you have a larger squad or group or whatnot, one of these for 3 to 4 persons might be perfect. Then another option that is much smaller in comparison, but again the capacity is much smaller as well, is a packable stove from MSR. It's not necessarily as durable, it's not necessarily as wind resistant, but if weight is a consideration, if bulk is a consideration, then it's one option. With this one, you have to consider having a good windshield, getting out of a straight wind, maybe digging a small hole in the snow or finding a good spot for use. The other thing when using these kind of gas stoves is the gas. If you have a summer gas, a normal issued gas, they freeze and they might necessarily not ignite as well when they're cold. So what you need to do with those is put them inside of your pocket or inside of your jacket, warm them up before you start to use them. Another option is actually buying gas that is made for freezing temperatures. This one says -27. I wouldn't necessarily always believe what they say, but I know for a fact that these will work a bit better at least. There we go. I need my daily cup of coffee. I'm sorry. I'm a human being as well. Every single self-respecting law enforcement officer always has a spoon in their backpack. You're probably gonna need to blur out my face for the next part. A bit too hot. Yeah. Okay, then the next thing is luxury. Almost luxury. We kind of had a bad day. We had to ditch our backpack, but having some way of cooking water and purifying water is kind of a necessity. Cooking the water works great. Using purification tablets works good. Kind of gives a funny taste for the water, but hey, you have to live with it. That's not probably gonna even go in your cargo pocket. Jet-boil definitely is not gonna go in your cargo pocket. But you still fell in the water, got dry clothes on you, and you need to get yourself warm. Now there's different ways of getting fire started. We went through that already. We have different ways of cooking the water. But if you don't have a cup, and the only thing you have on you is some minor supplies plus a knife, then this could be one option. Having a ferro rod and some kind of method of getting a fire started would be perfect. For example, you start up and you prepare your fireplace. This is just one method of a tin box of cotton swabs drenched in what is it called? Vaseline. It's drenched in Vaseline, and after that it's covered with candle wax. So the candle wax makes it fire resistant. So the thing you do with this or these types of fire starters is you scrape up, get up one of these fibers, and either use matches or it kind of starts pretty easy. Let's see if I'm gonna regret my words or not. Pick another spot and repeat it. Oops. So the shavings of the ferro rod, you see the sparks, that's basically small shavings of the ferro rod. It really helps to start the fire. Now you put that underneath your fireplace or your fire. It dries up the wood. If it's moist, you get the fire started. Great. After that, there's also, if you don't have a cup, one thing that's good to have is tin foil. You have 1.5 meters of tin foil folded up nicely into some hard case. You could use it to make a cup, for example. Not ideal, but it'll do the job. Then when the fire starts to burn nicely, you just pull it underneath the fire, shake off the extra, kill the flame. Oh yeah, there's a nice pocket warmer. I can live with that. It's always good to have alternative ways of making a fire. Ferro rod is one, storm matches is another one, and tools like a chainsaw, hand chainsaw, might come in handy. And of course, never forget morale. Having some bubble gum might not save you, but it might give you a small, warm, fuzzy feeling of having something to chew on. All situations are not always tactical. Sometimes you just got into a bad spot and you need help. Well, a way of signaling for help, would it be sound or a signaling panel? It doesn't take much space, but if nobody sees you, but they can hear you, it might save the day. Oh, this actually does work. Oh, fuck, this is nice. This wraps up the episode of Brewing a Cup of Coffee.